And welcome to Sports Talk on the Friday night edition. We are live on the WJRG television network. And I'm Dr. Jerry Green, along with my good friend and the producer of the show, Big Don from Big Don Production. What's up, my brother? Big Don.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
All right. Our sports legend, Anthony McLean. What's up, my brother? God bless.
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
All right. And also all the way in Maryland, my brother-in-law, Larry Pearson. What's up, Larry?
Doing good. Indiana got me on the ropes.
All right, but listen, so if Indiana wins tonight, you're taking that sign down, right? OKC, right? Taking that down?
Yes.
All right. I told you, man, don't jinx Indiana now, right? Now let's talk about game 3 though. The Pacers won 116 to 107 to take a 2 games to 1 lead. I'll start with you, Larry. What did OKC do wrong and what did the Pacers do right to win the game?
I think the Pacers, they played as a complete team. The Pacers bench outscored OKC's bench big time. OKC just didn't get rolling all cylinders. In the third quarter, I think Indiana went ahead and they caught up to them and then took the lead. In the fourth quarter, I think they just took over. Everything was going for them, and OKC couldn't get no rhythm going.
All right, now you mentioned about the bench play for OKC. Were you disappointed in their bench in game 2 or game 3? Were you disappointed?
They didn't show up. We talking about some players who hit 20 points in game 2, hit 0 in game 3. And Caruso scored big time in game 2. And I think he got four points in game 3. Nobody on the bench really showed up in game 3. I think that's where they really got hurt at.
Okay, go ahead, Don. Talk about what were your thoughts why Indiana won game 3? Because most people on Tuesday pick OKC to win. They're supposed to win the next 2 games. But give me your reason why.
What I've been seeing is physicality. OKC is, Indiana is more physical than OKC, and the referee have been letting them play throughout the whole series on both East and West Coast. The referee been letting them get rough like that, and going at each other hard. And if they're going at each other hard, you got to give Indiana the edge. OKC is not a physical team as Indiana. As long as Indiana got it now, they got the key. Keep it close and give it to Halliburton. You know what I mean? You're the goal, like keep it close, give it to Michael Jordan. Keep it close, give it to Reggie. Now keep it close, give it to Halliburton. They got the answer now. They get in there, they get to get physical. And I think that physical play is playing a big role, even though OKC bench ain't doing nothing. But I think that physical, the way the ref are letting them play is right up OKC alley. Right up Indiana alley.
Go ahead, Anthony. Give me your opinion, bro.
Yeah. It's both what both guys said, especially with the bench. It was 49-18 in game 3. I mean, they doubled their bench play. You got Mathurin and McConnell. They had I think 30 of that 49, so that was huge. And the Halliburton was only 1 rebound away from a triple double, so that just shows you just how much he dominated the game. But yeah, that's been the thing. When Indiana has had the upper bench play, they've won both games. And the physical play, this is where OKC's got to make their biggest adjustment now. Now, I think they can play physical. I don't know if they can sustain it though. That's been the thing. Both the good thing is the referees haven't been the story. I think it's been good that they've allowed them to play, because this time of the year now, you don't want to have a ticky-tack foul
Right.
deciding the game this time of the year, because these games relatively these games have been close, I guess, except for the last few minutes of game 2. But yeah, Indiana's has stayed script. They haven't gotten away from what got them there. They were physical against Cleveland, they were physical against Milwaukee, and they were definitely physical against the Knicks.
So Anthony, what kind of adjustments does OKC got to make? Because Rick Carlisle made a great adjustment. Now he's speed up the game. Indiana is running on every possession. They're playing They even picking the players up full court to bring the ball up. Now they're tiring SGA out because now they're putting 2-3 guys on him. He's not getting the little easy fouls he used to get before. Somebody bump him or he bumped them and you go to the free throw line. So what kind of adjustments the OKC got to make for Game 4?
Well, they still got to go inside, and they don't want to. You don't want to change. See, this again, it's this late in the year. You don't want to make so many drastic changes that it takes you away from what got you there. They're going. I think as a team, they're gonna have to get more. They're gonna have to get physical. They're gonna have to get physical. I think that's the one subtle change that they're gonna have to do. And needless to say, they got to get back on defense because Indiana is predicating their entire offense off the defense. That's where they're getting all their. I meant to look up what the fast break points, but I'm sure that they're leading in fast break points, and that's been the key. And the thing with them is they haven't had to put it all on Halliburton's lap. And again, it goes back to the bench play. SGA is they live and die by SGA to a certain extent offensively because you're not going to get a lot of stuff from Hartenstein and some of the other guys. But yeah, I think the adjustment they've got to make is going to be more defensive than offensive. So if they're going to tie the series tonight.
What you think, Larry? Because Rick Carlisle, because remember he was with the Dallas Mavericks when they beat the Miami Heat, and he went into a zone on the Heat that the Heat his players wasn't used to that, and they beat Miami. Now he's making the right adjustments right now. Rick Carlisle for the Pacers. What adjustments that OKC got to make?
I think Hoagland got to play bigger than what he's playing now. They should set him down low, set him up. When they come and try to stop him, kick it back out. He could make a huge difference, but he got to use his height. He's a 7-footer, and he's not playing like it. He's taller than everybody out there. He should at least be able to get a couple slams and play like he's a big man. But he's not doing that.
Okay, go ahead, Don.
Well, they got to start Hartenstein and Hoagland at the same time. They got to try that twin tower thing at the beginning of the game to get physical, get both of them boys down low and let them get physical down there. That's going to open up a lot for SGA and Williams. So I think Hartenstein is the key because he hasn't really been playing both of them at the same time too much. And I think he got to give both of those guys more play at the same time, especially at the start of the game, to send a message to Indiana.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense because so who you guys predicting tonight to win? Who you got, Anthony?
I'll go with OKC. They're 17-2 in after a loss. This is counting the regular season and the postseason. A lot of people, I think, slept on Indiana. It's funny because even after beating Cleveland, even after beating the Knicks, there's still folks that slept on them. I still think OKC can win the series, but I said from the beginning it was going to be tough, and Indiana is showing that they belong there.
Okay, well, to me, I'm going to pick OKC because I think the series is probably going 7, but I won't be surprised if the Pacers win either. Because they're good at home. I would not be surprised, Larry, because like I said, the closer you get to Game 7, there's going to be a lot more pressure on both teams, and they're young teams. So we got to see who can handle the pressure the best. And if they can't win in Indiana tonight under that pressure, they're going to be in trouble, right? So OKC, the pressure is on them to win because they don't want to go down 3-1. And they got to win 3 straight games, and they got to win another in Indiana. That pressure going to be tough on them young boys. So I got to definitely go with them. So my next question, Donald, do you agree with Shaq when the Shaq says still doesn't want to put Tyrese Halliburton among the best clutch performers? I'm not ready to do that right now. Do you agree with Shaq on that?
If we talk about down the road, we don't know where he's going to be. But if we're talking about this year, I'm going to put him among the best. I mean, he's proven to be one of the best closers I've seen in a long time. I mean, he closing. I mean, we already know where they're going with the ball, and they still can't stop them. You know what I mean? So no, I don't agree with Shaq. I think right now he needs to, he's gonna need some more time to really prove his point. But right now, if I was going with today, I'm gonna say Halliburton is among the best out there.
What about you, Larry?
I think we should slow our roll a little bit and see how this thing works out because Halliburton mess around and they lose this, and people are going to think a little bit differently about that because this year he has done that during this playoffs. There's been a lot of players who have done that, and 1 year they look awesome. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of their career they don't do that well. So this is something new for him. Everybody never said this before. Last year or the year before that, this is this year in this playoffs. So I think we should hold the applause for a minute.
All right. Well, I mean, but he did he prove himself even in the playoffs this year that he's a pretty good closer? You don't think so?
And he's a pretty good closer, yes. But should we anoint him now? I don't think so. Everybody wanted to put him in this.
Everybody anointed SGA? I mean, even though he's an MVP, I give him credit. He's the leading scorer in the NBA. He's the MVP of the league. He got his team to the NBA Finals, and which are favored to win the Finals as well. So if he loses,
this is not the first year. This is about the third year he's been doing the same thing. This is Halliburton's first year, which is coming really full bloom.
Oh, he went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, didn't he?
I mean, Indiana, as far as him being anointed like this, it's the first year they're talking about that.
Okay. What about you, Anthony? You agree with Shaq on that or what?
Yeah, I'd hold off, but again, I think Halliburton has proved. I think he's already proven that at least for now, he needs to be mentioned as a maybe not a top 10, maybe not a top 5, but a top 10 guy. I mean, he did have a good playoff last year. They did get to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I think because they didn't get to the finals, it got lost in translation. But no, he's coming off of last year's playoff and this regular season and this year's playoff. Yeah, he's legit one of the clutch guys in the league right now. Down the road, that's again, that's a little bit of trying to write the final chapter, 2 chapters in. But give him this playoff and another full season, and then I think you can start talking possibly if he goes to where we think he is. Yeah, I think he will. But now I'll agree with Shaq right now. Is like he's good right now, all time.
We can't put him all time, Anthony. But the only problem I got with Shaq and some of the old heads, they still don't want to give these young boys their respect as well.
Let's put it this way. I think again with something like that, unfortunately, especially in the NBA, the old timers and not even so much old timers. These guys are only removed from about maybe 10 years from now. I don't know if it's jealousy or what have you. They're very, very, very hard on them. To me, some of the other folks like Gilbert Arenas, like the guys that do all the smoke.
Yep.
They're a little bit more. I don't want to say compassionate, but I think they're willing to give these guys a little more than what they're getting from because a lot of a lot because inside the NBA is so popular, people sort of think that they're beyond reproach. But no, they can trust between Shaq, Kenny, and especially Charles. These guys can be these guys can have the attitude of the stubborn old housewives as well.
See, I think they're haters myself.
Yeah, they're definitely more than if you listen to a lot. I personally like all the smoke because I think that they give a balance and they give a deference to the folks from before, but they don't overly hype the kids that are playing now. And I think a lot of it may just have to do is that they're not that far removed from playing, so they may be there may be a little bit of I don't know if it's sympathy or whatever, but I think they're a little bit more objective at times. I'll say that much.
Don, but why you say they're haters, man?
Because they all are, all of them. They like to think like you remember when Dwight Howard became Superman. Shaq
Yeah.
was so mad he ready to fight. You know what I mean? Those guys, Michael Jordan, he's not really crazy about LeBron James. They want to be known as the best. Right on down to Charles Barkley. Even Kenny the Jet Smith got a little personality there, thinking he was not all that in Houston to me.
No, he
He
was.
was.
He was a role player.
He was not all that in Houston to me. But he got him a ring, so you can't tell him nothing.
Got 2 rings, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't tell them nothing. No, all those guys are haters. They don't like to see the young boys coming along. They say they play too soft. They give you all kinds of excuses. To me, this whole playoff series has been very physical with these teams. I've seen a lot like I used to see in the old days. So, yeah, I think they're all haters.
And I go all the way back to 19 when Bill Russell, at the tail end of his career, me and my brother Henry, we used to watch the NBA. We only had one TV, and my dad let us watch basketball every now and then, and we watched the Celtics, the Lakers or the Knicks, whatever. But I go all the way back to 1969, 68. Okay, and I remember the 70s very well with John Havlicek and all them boys, Clyde Frazier, the Knicks won. I remember the 80s very well. I remember when Queen came in the league, Lou Alcindor. So I'm one of them guys. I even saw Michael Jordan in person at the Garden before he won his championship. So I saw Larry Bird in person. I've been following the NBA, and I'm one of them guys. If you're good, you're good. But these old guys, they don't want to let go of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, it's one of the things I always try to tell folks. When you go back to when they had the 50th anniversary and the 75th anniversary, the one constant was the league survived Bill Russell retiring. The league survived Dr. J retiring. The league survived Michael Jordan's 18 retirements. The league, the one constant in the NBA, even though the game has evolved, we've gone from it being center oriented to guard oriented to what have you. The one thing that's always been sustaining is that there's always been great players.
Right.
I think unfortunately there's a lot of gatekeepers to their particular era. And look, Shaq, great player in his own, and no doubt about that. Same thing with Barkley. Barkley, you can make the argument Barkley is one of the best players that didn't get a ring. And again, that's a 2-hour conversation in of itself. But the thing is, you've got to give these contemporary guys their due. It's all, like I said, it's almost like watching Desperate Housewives in the sense where they're just so stubborn and don't want to give them their due.
Right. That's the only problem I got with these guys, man. That's the only problem I got with these guys. Like the others said, they're haters. I don't want to call them haters, but I had to agree with
that.
What else can you call it?
Yeah.
What else can you call it?
But the game gonna change in a minute because if you look back, because when Larry Bird, Magic Johnson came in the league, there was little attendance. They had great teams, great athletes, but little attendance because, there wasn't a lot of white people playing basketball. Now, if it continues to decrease like it's doing now, they might go back to the same thing but we're getting all these players from other countries and stuff now.
Yeah.
But it might go back the same way because they don't want to look at all black teams run up and down the court. Especially not in Boston.
Well, go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because they want to mix. They want to mix, just like in the WNBA.
In the
WNBA, they getting a problem because Clark is getting all this money and there's all this jealousy, and that league gonna have a problem.
But Larry,
Boston was one of the ones that started it, though.
Boston was. They was winning everything, 11 championships, and they couldn't fill the arena.
But they had a lot of black guys on that team too.
Yes, that's why they didn't fill the arena until Bird came, and Bird solved it. You know what I'm saying?
Matter of fact, they averaged, put it this way, the average attendance for the Bird era as opposed to the Russell era is almost 4-1.
Yeah.
That's fact.
And plus, you got to keep in mind, Larry, at the times you only have 3 channels back then. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean now
But it was all about color too. It was all about color.
I'm not disagreeing.
But today, with all the foreigners coming in, you can forget that the whites are not taking over.
No, they're not. You need a couple of them. You need a couple. You need a couple just to keep everybody happy.
Couple, but that's about it. I mean, they got Luka. They're gonna have they ain't got Luka, do they?
Well, look at the kid.
Who do they got?
Look at the kid. Look at the kid that's supposed to be the number 1 pick now. They're already talking about him being a quote unquote generational player. I mean,
they need that though. They need it for the sport.
Can we let him get drafted first and see how he can make the transition?
They need somebody though. They need somebody.
But Larry, I go all the way back. I remember even when Willis Reed came out, game 7, I believe it was, in 1970, the Garden was packed. I mean, I remember when John Havlicek and Dave Cowens and JoJo White, Charlie Scott, the place was packed. I remember when Seattle Supersonics with Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson, the arenas was packed with Jack Sigma and all them. The only difference, they couldn't get the sponsors. That's when Dr. J came over from the ABA to the NBA. The NBA bought the 4 teams: Indiana, the Nets, the Pacers, and the last one, Denver.
Let me say this real quick.
Right.
We're talking about Boston against New York. Boston wasn't New York, yes, but Boston, no. You wasn't gonna get Boston packed like that because
you wasn't gonna get Boston packed like that ever.
No.
Right. So you talking New York, we all can see it. But if you were saying Boston, it'd be a different story.
When the Celtics was in the NBA Finals in 1974 with John Havlicek and Dave Cowens, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Right?
Go look at that attendance.
What color were those 2 guys you just named?
Huh?
What color were those 2 guys?
Oh, white.
You said I answered your question there, Jared.
I'm saying the arenas was packed back then. They couldn't get the sponsors.
Got to remember also New York, marquee franchise, Boston, marquee franchise, Philly, marquee. I mean, the cities where if the big cities, they're always are going to draw. I thought it was written. Think about it. When they had the merger in 76,
77.
The most identifiable player winds up going to Philly.
That's right.
I mean, would you think the Nets, even though the Nets were playing in a non-NBA arena, you think the Nets' history might have changed a bit if Doc had been able to play those early years with the Nets?
Yeah, but that was the Nets' fault because they played. They charged ball all that money.
But that's my point. Is that they went to the 4 cities that they brought in, basically New Jersey, San Antonio,
Denver,
Indiana, and Denver.
Right.
Those were, in a sense, they were expansion franchise as far as the NBA was looking at, even though they had established themselves. People forget Indiana, was one of the more dominant franchises in the ABA. They have a couple of championships. If they do wind up winning, they're going to be the only ABA team that's had a team that's won it in the ABA and the NBA. But what turned off a lot of people back in the late 70s when the games were being shown on tape delay, what have you, you had the drug problem. And look, let's just come right out and say it. White sports fans still have a problem with majority black league. A lot of folks were turned off by the NFL because of the whole Kaepernick thing.
Okay. Let me just do this then. Back in the day, baseball was probably, if it wasn't the number 1 sport, I'm talking about back in the 60s and 70s with Mickey Mantle and Reggie Jackson, all them. What happened to baseball in this modern day then? Nobody talking about baseball no more.
But we'll see. Baseball is still suffering. Look, I'll always say, what killed baseball for a lot of people was the strike. Because absolutely. Because it was twofold. Because you lost to think of the kids who were like 10 and 15 years old in '94. Most of those kids now are football and basketball fans, and also The other thing, 1994 was also the 75th anniversary of the National Football League. So that's when they came out with all the throwback jerseys and what have you. Now, by 94, football had already surpassed baseball in popularity. The strike just pushed it over. Now, they've had little stops and starts. You had the home run race with McGuire and Sosa.
McGuire and Sosa.
You had Cal Ripken with the streak and everything. And even over the years, when the Yankees had become prominent and what have you, but baseball baseball has been chasing its tail since 1994. The NBA, and again, because of the foreign, because both the NFL and NBA, they embrace the foreign folks.
Players.
In many ways, the players and the fans. In many ways, they go after the foreign fans more so than they do the fans right here. And it's sort of reflective because it's kind of sad that I guess they've said so far the ratings are down for this title, for this series. I think it's like 24%. And this is too bad too, because it's good basketball. Just because they don't have Boston or Cleveland or New York, you should still be watching. I mean, if you're a pure basketball fan, you're watching the series. Unfortunately, the lay fan, the guy that may not watch the playoff, that may not watch the NBA until the playoffs or the finals, you're losing that person.
Right. And basically, people like household names. They like the Stephs, the LeBrons, the Michael Jordans, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Kobe's, and these guys are the young players. They got to build their own legacy. In time, they will have a name that people will come and watch them. All right, let me move on. I'm going to move on to this, Larry. This is for you. Now, Magic Johnson said we expect our superstars to lead us to a championship. Magic Johnson to Luka Doncic. Now, Magic is saying, because LeBron led the Lakers, Kobe did, and Shaq did, and Jerry West and all them. Is that too much pressure on Luka, you think, Larry, what Magic is saying, or what?
One thing is this, the money. Because of the money, he should do that because they pay him a lot of money to perform. And if he don't get in shape and do everything he's capable of doing, then I say yes. But they also need to surround him with some great players too and get a team because he's not going to carry the Lakers by himself with one other person. He needs a complete team.
Okay, what do you think, Don?
He already has a bad back, look like something was hurting on him. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him because he's not really ready to do what Magic's asking him to do, unless he changes his mindset, like whatever if we hoping that he hang around with LeBron James and get that mindset. Because if he get that mindset, he could bring the Lakers a championship. If he get the Magic mindset, he could bring it. He do not have that mindset of either one of those guys at this point. Unless he change it, it's too much pressure. And he'll probably go have a beer after every game and, relieve the pressure.
Go ahead.
You got that right.
Yeah, it doesn't help that just showing a picture of him bending over. So that sort of goes with. But no, it's sort of like what Mike Tomlin talks about the Steelers. The standard is the standard. Chamberlain came in there, won championships. West came in there, won championships. Magic won championships. Kareem, after they put some players around him, won championships, and so on and so on. They have the same pedigree as the Bostons and all the other titles. So he knows that. Now he got a brief taste of it this year, but he's got to, if you want it, you've got to change the whole mindset, and they're hoping that he can rub something off of LeBron. And it's funny because when LeBron first came to LA, people were saying that he was just doing this just to further his off the court business. But no, he wanted to win a championship as well. And however you look at the bubble year, they did win it. So he did what he was supposed to do.
Right. And they had a good team that year too.
Yeah, well, that's always the case because even people forget that those 4 or 5 years before Magic got to the Lakers, as great as Kareem was, they were mediocre at best. They were good enough to get maybe to like the second round, but they weren't a championship team until they started to put that team around Kareem.
Well, Anthony, I agree with you to a point because they lost 2 years in a row to the Seattle Supersonics, talking about the Lakers. You know, with Kareem, Magic was that missing piece that they needed. Okay, yeah. There was always a championship team. They just needed that extra piece, like these teams need, like the Knicks need an extra piece. And Magic was the 6'9" guard that the Lakers needed, and nobody ever seen nobody like Magic, and he brought them over the hump. But the only problem I got with guys like Larry, the guys like Magic and James Worthy and them, they had a team that was already set up for them when they came in the league, man. It wasn't like Michael Jordan. Wasn't like Michael Jordan with the Bulls. It wasn't like LeBron with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It wasn't like some of them teams that you had to start off from the bottom and work your way up. No, they came on a team that was already set up, and all they had to do just do their little part to win championships.
Magic could have won anywhere and won a championship.
No, you get to lead that Cleveland Cavaliers team with the way LeBron did. No way.
Jerry, those guys are not as big as LeBron James and Michael Jordan either. You put them in there with those guys.
Come on, like LeBron
Worthy and all those guys, they're not as big as LeBron James.
Magic Johnson?
No, you're talking about the role players there, like like the Byron Scotts, the Coopers.
Yeah.
They're not big. When Byron left LA, he couldn't do nothing. Okay? He couldn't do nothing. He looked good. He looked good with LA because they made everybody in LA look good.
Okay, but who's the guard before Byron Scott, Larry?
Norm
Nixon.
Norm Nixon, yeah.
Was he a slouch?
No, he was
Norm Nixon was pretty good. He thought he was good until what's his name showed up.
Well, him and Magic had some situations. All right,
because Magic came to take his spot.
Okay, so but he was good. What about Jamal Wilkes? Was he good, Larry?
Jamal Wilkes was on the back end of his career. He was on the back end. He had about maybe 3 years left.
Okay, let me say it again. When Magic scored his 42, how many points Jamal Wilkes had that same game?
I think you said 37, huh?
Well, look it up. He had 37 points. That wasn't no slouch. Mm-hmm. Okay? The Magic had players, like even Kareem, the all-time NBA leader.
Kareem ain't play that game. He ain't play.
I'm saying, but he had Kareem with him the whole time.
But the point was, what was the Lakers doing before Magic got there?
Nothing.
They made it to the playoffs.
That's the point right there.
They made it to the Western Conference Finals.
But they wasn't winning nothing before Magic got there.
Right, but we don't
like the Lakers now. They like the Lakers now.
We don't know what Magic would have did without them either time. Okay?
Magic
you might could have sent Magic somewhere else.
Afterwards.
Say it was both of y'all was talking. What say it again?
Remember, gotta remember, Magic did wind up winning a title after Kareem retired. And they even got to the finals a few more times.
Now with the Lakers, when the Magic win the title without Kareem.
Yeah. I'm sorry. They take it back. They got to the finals.
And lost to Michael Jordan.
But they got to the finals, though. That's the thing. They still got to the finals.
And Kareem got to the Western Conference final. He just couldn't beat Seattle at that time.
Isn't getting to the NBA finals a little bit more than getting to the Western Conference finals?
If Magic had went to Philly and played with the Doc, they probably would have had more champions.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Doc would have.
But we still be saying the same thing. He went on a team that was already set.
The only guy I don't know, Larry, the only guy I feel sorry for back then is Dr. J. I feel sorry for Dr. J because he was in Philly and he had to go up against the Bucks. He had to go up against Larry Bird as a rookie and the Celtics. Then he had to go against Magic Johnson with a stacked team. And until he got Moses Malone.
If Magic went to Philly, what do you think? What thing would happen if he went to Philly?
Same way with Doc.
He'd have got 5. He'd have got 5 still.
I don't know about that. We don't know. You speculate.
He went to Boston. He'd got 5.
What happened when Kareem left? Why did he beat Michael Jordan then? Why did he beat Michael Jordan when without Kareem? He had a chance. When he had a chance without Kareem to win, he had James Worthy. Why didn't he win that?
You talk about Mike. Magic was getting older then.
Well, Kareem was getting older than that.
And Magic, it was Jordan's first NBA title. He was at his peak.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I think people forget about Magic Larry had to get through him to get his title. Isaiah had to get through him to get his title. Doc had to get him to get through his title. Jordan had to get through him to get his title. The one constant during the 80s, Magic Johnson. So, and see, that to me, that's always been the one argument as to why you can make the argument about Magic being, the greatest of all time, because, again, you forget from 80 to 89, that 10-year stretch, the Lakers missed the finals twice. And
Anthony.
I'm just no.
Not going to come off the bench, man. You had Michael Cooper. You had
come on, man.
I'm just saying.
Kareem.
But no. Listen up, Jerry. I don't think. Look at the big picture. For a 10-year stretch, they only missed the title. They only missed the finals twice. The two times that they missed, both times the Celtics beat the Rockets.
Right.
And
I agree.
When they went head up against the Celtics, they beat them 2 out of the 3 times. That's
right.
dominance. That's dominance.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, if you'd have put LeBron on that same team, Larry, with Kareem, Jamal Wilkes, James Worthy, and James Worthy was the #1 pick when they won the championship. I mean, he was the college player of the year, basically, and the Lakers got the #1 pick, and they picked James Worthy. Like you said earlier, Isaiah Thomas had to go through the Celtics. Michael had to go through Detroit. Dr. J had to go through all these other teams. Who the Magic had to go through? Magic had to go through?
Magic went through everybody his first year.
What he had to go through?
He was the standard, though. That's the thing.
He had the team.
But he was the standard, is what I'm saying. When he, and you even said yourself, when he came in, he was the missing link, and he dominated that decade.
Instant magic.
I mean, to be fair, they also won titles with Mark Landsberger and Chuck Nevitt and other obscure players, Mitch Kupchak and all that. I understand what you're saying. I don't think as good as the Lakers were, I don't think they were as stacked as maybe say the Jordan teams. But see, even with the Jordan teams, remember
even San Antonio,
they never beat the Celtics at their prime. They all there's Mike pre-Pippen,
right,
and then Mike after Pippen. As great as Mike was, Mike couldn't get by the first round until they brought in Pippen and Grant and
Bird got old, and he got bad back, and Isaiah was getting old. I agree.
Even those teams, remember the first 3 titles they won with Bill Cartwright at center. The last 3 they won with Luke freaking Longley.
I agree. No, I'm not gonna Larry. I mean, I like Magic, but sometimes I just think that he's overhyped because of. We gotta understand, man. When you're on a stacked team like that, I mean,
look, Magic made those
no
guys.
pressure on him.
You can talk about how good all of them was, but we know he made Worthy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He made Worthy. A lot of those guys Magic made by being the Magic Man, by hitting them at their right spots.
Just like the guy in college. The guy in college won the first round. He was no good, but he was chosen. I think he was chosen number 4 or 5. And he ain't getting no play in the NBA. Magic made him look that good.
Greg Kelser.
Yeah.
But didn't the guys make Magic look good too, though?
But he
was like they were role players. If I give you a layup, you better make me look good.
All right, so if you put the Magic on that same team LeBron had when he went to the 2007 NBA Finals, Magic could have led that team like that. You saying with the 60 guys?
I would think so. I would think so. And then because you got to remember also, I've always when people make the Michael and LeBron comparison, I think they're comparing him to the wrong guy. LeBron is Magic. Because his first thing was always to feed off of his teammates. You got to remember, Magic didn't win his first MVP until he started scoring more.
I agree.
Hey Jerry, you must have seen the interview that Magic did when he talked about high school when he played, and he said he was bigger than everybody else, and he was scoring. He was averaging 30 points or something, and the team got mad at him. They didn't want to play no more. and they started talking about him and started talking. He said that's what made him get into passing. He said he could have been a scorer. But when in high school, when they got mad with him and wanted him to pass the ball, and he started passing the ball, he enjoyed that, and those guys enjoyed playing with him after that. He said that was him in the interview. And he said that's how he got into passing the ball. He said even in the NBA, he could have been a scorer, he says. But he wanted to have the teammates involved. That was Magic. It's on the interview. I listened to it the other day.
See, and I don't want y'all to think I'm hating on Magic, Larry.
Oh, no.
I'm
But
just
it
saying.
sounds like it.
No, it don't sound like it.
All the time.
We got a stacked team.
Put it this way, Jerry.
Yeah.
He was the standard, like Jordan was the standard in the 90s.
I understand that.
Like Russell was the standard, in the 50s and the early 60s. The thing is, he was the standard. The fact, I still think, to me, if you ever want to know the essence of Magic, go and tape of Game 6 of the 80 finals when he basically played all 5 positions and dominated
that one game.
A really good Sixer team that wound up winning the title 3 years ago, other than Moses Malone. But that's the thing. Excuse me. In many ways, as great as Magic is, in many ways, when you look at him with all the all-time, he almost gets overlooked to a certain extent.
Let me just speculate on something, Larry, and we answer this too. That was Game 6. We know that Kareem sprung his ankle in Game 5, and the Sixers probably thought, okay, we're gonna, this is our chance now, because Kareem was really the MVP until that game. Okay, but anyway, do you think if Kareem didn't play in that series, Magic would have beat the Sixers in the best of 7 without Kareem? I mean, that one game. Do you think Magic could have beat the 76ers with the team he had by himself?
He was the MVP of that series.
Yeah, he won that one game. But
no, he was the MVP of the series.
No, Kareem was the MVP of that series until he sprung his ankle. Kareem was the one that was killing him.
He was the MVP. Look at the points.
No, Kareem was killing him. They couldn't stop Kareem.
Hey, Jerry, you need to listen to the interview. Magic said he could score.
I heard Magic interview. I'm asking you a question. Do you think Magic could have beat that team in the best of 7? I don't mean that one game.
Listen to the Magic interview. It's very possible. All you had to do was score. If he didn't score, he'd have still beat him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Man.
Remember, he got
Magic is 5-4 in the championship now. They ain't like Magic 1-11, like Bill Russell.
Remember, he got to the finals with Vlade freaking Divac, Jerry.
Okay.
Yes.
And he lost to the Detroit Pistons team that should have beat him twice in a row.
To the finals.
Yeah, but
the finals, man. We beat up guys. Look, we beat up Steve Nash for winning 2 MVPs and not getting to the finals. Magic got to a bunch of finals. Like I said, to me, all I'm saying is the road to basically through the 80s and early 90s, the road to the finals always led through Irvin Magic Johnson, one way or another.
And I'm not disagreeing. I remember all that. He went to 9 finals. He's 5-4 in the finals. Okay, 5-4. I agree with you. He went to 9 out of 10 years. That's a decade. All right.
Who was carrying him when Kareem got too old to make it down the court?
Magic. but Donald, when you got a guy that's the number 1 draft pick that's on your wing, James Worthy, all right, that you can, because who was the MVP when they won the back-to-back championship, Larry? Who was the MVP in that series?
That was Worthy.
James Worthy.
Who gave him the ball? Who gave Worthy the ball?
Donald, who gave him the ball? Who's the MVP, Donald?
He wouldn't have done it without somebody giving him the ball.
No, Michael was a 6-time MVP. Michael was a 6-time MVP, and everyone, the Bulls won. Michael won all 6 of them. Scotty didn't win one. Dennis Rodman didn't win one.
You keep forgetting the point that
Magic
like
why did Magic get 5 MVPs?
Hey, you keep overlooking the point that
Magic ain't shoot as much as Michael neither.
That guy.
Exactly.
Getting the team involved.
It goes back. It goes.
Trying to get those.
He was trying, Donald. Don't say he didn't want no MVPs. All right.
No, he look. I go look at the interview. Look it up.
I remember that. I remember the series. I mean, yeah, I'm giving him his due, but like I'm saying, James Worthy was the MVP in that back-to-back against Detroit.
Yeah, with Magic hitting with those easy layups and ducks most of the time.
But who do you think was the better player? Who do you think was the better player, Worthy or Magic?
Magic. I'm not taking that away from Magic. I'm just saying
talking about MVPs.
You guys give him too much hype, though. I mean, God, give him. I mean, the man was on a stacked team. I mean, anybody. If the Brahmins played on that team, all right, that's why Kobe wanted to leave Shaq. Kobe didn't want to play second fiddle to like Pippen and them, and he wanted his own team.
That's why he doesn't have as many titles as.
But the real story about that, it wasn't they didn't want to play together. They couldn't afford to keep both of them.
They could afford to keep them.
Money.
Kobe made it clear that he didn't want to be another Pittman.
That was just talk. That was just talk. The reason they got rid of Shaq because they couldn't pay the amount of money he wanted and keep both of them.
Come on, Larry.
Well, Shaq kept running down the court hollering, "Pay me," didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Get the facts. He wanted more money, and he'll tell you the reason he left because of money.
He was running down the court saying it. He kept saying, "Pay me."
Yeah, he kept saying to Jerry Buss, "Pay me my money." I remember all that. But what I'm saying to you, Kobe Bryant, Larry, threatened the Lakers he was going to leave and go to either Chicago or to the Clippers. They had to make a choice, either keep me or keep Shaq, because Kobe was ready to leave. You're
listen to the interviews after that, and you'll see.
And you know what Jerry Buss said? He said, I will keep heaven and earth before I trade Kobe Bryant. And that's what made Shaq mad. He said, before I trade Kobe Bryant, somebody heaven and earth. Shaq got mad and Shaq made a trade. They traded him to Miami. Because they made it clear they're going to keep Kobe Bryant.
And Shaq put his ring on right away, too, when he got to Miami. Put that ring right on.
Thanks to Dwayne Wade. Who's MVP in that final time?
That's all right. He won the ring before Kobe did.
How many did Kobe get without Shaq?
1.
2.
They both got 1.
2. Kobe got back-to-back.
Kobe got 2.
Okay.
Back-to-back.
Yeah. I got it.
Because Shaq was mad about that.
No, check it out. He beat Orlando and then he beat Boston Celtics.
He got 2.
I got it mixed up.
But let's be honest. Both of them were knuckleheads because they could have won a king's ransom of titles if they had just played together.
Yeah,
but that's true. But Kobe didn't want to be that's
on Kobe. That's on Kobe.
Yeah, and you can't blame him because he seen what happened to Scottie Pippen and other guys that play second fiddle. Because everybody was saying it was Batman and Robin again. They was comparing Shaq and Kobe.
But in 10 years, he got 2 championships.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have stayed with Shaq, you think it'd have been the same thing?
If he would have stayed with Shaq.
In 10 years, you think they would have got more than 2?
I don't know. Hold on, make a noise.
I would think so. And oh, by the way, how many did Pippen have after he stopped playing with the ball-headed guy?
None. How many did the ball-headed guy get when he stopped playing with Scotty? None.
But see, there's nothing wrong. Look, the funny thing is, again, when you look at NBA history, everybody made such a big thing about the big 3 when they put it together in Miami. But look at the history of the NBA. Everybody's had a big 3.
Right. And has super teams. I agree.
It's nothing new under the sun. But all of a sudden, when it happened in Miami, when they in a sense had a stacked team, all of a sudden, there was a problem with it. And I didn't hear those same things when Boston put together their big 3.
Yeah, Boston started that mess.
Right. Boston started that back with Sam Jones.
Actually, you could probably go back to Boston previously when they had Russell, Cousy. They've always the concept of the big 3 is nothing new. Now the way Miami went about it might have been a little bit different, but the concept of the big 3. I mean, even the Bucks with a young Alcindor, Bobby
Allen,
Robertson. The Knicks had their big 3 as well. I mean, every
team that won has superstars.
Every dynasty type championship team always had a big 3.
All right, Don, let me ask you a question on this one. This is Clyde Drexler. LeBron made it to the finals with a couple of guys we can't even remember. Michael had Hall of Famers playing with him. You agree with that? Was he a hater, or do you agree with that?
I can't remember some of the guys he made it to the finals with.
Okay.
10 times to the finals. Some of them guys I don't remember. All those different teams. I agree with it.
Is he hating on Michael or what, though?
Well, he just telling it like it is for us. I'm going to see. Michael did. I mean, when Michael went to Washington, what happened? We don't remember those guys, that's for sure. But we can remember all the guys he won with Chicago. I don't think he's hating on Michael. I think he's just telling the truth there.
What do you think, Anthony?
I think it's a little bit of hating, but also, there's a lot of guys on those Bulls teams that that were, Randy Brown and
like you said, Luke Longley,
Bob Hansen. They've got just as many obscure guys now. Put it this way, I've always given this one. I've always conceded this one thing to LeBron. His greatest feat was take that first Cleveland team that went to the finals with Daniel Marshall and Booby Gibson hasn't been seen since that finals and everything. The fact that he got that team to the finals to me was always I think that's one of the things that's always set him apart from a lot of players, because if they're, to me, it was on the same level as Iverson taking the Sixers to the finals.
Okay.
Michael always had Scotty. That's, we could talk big three, but basically Michael always had Scotty. He had his sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what actually did it for him. You could change everybody else as long as you kept those two, and that's exactly what they did.
And Paxton too. I don't think Paxton gets enough credit for being.
And the first three.
And then the last three you had Steve Kerr as well. So, but it's again, to me, the whole concept of the big three, it's nothing. It's really nothing. But maybe that third person doesn't get as much love as Batman and Robin. They may look at them more like Green Lantern or the Falcon or whatever. If we're going to do this on a comic book level, but yeah, it's always that's always going to be there. That's always going to be there. I mean, I think we sort of take for granted that you had that. Remember we went 19 years without anybody leading in the NBA, and now what's it happened now?
About 6 years now.
8 times now since then.
Yeah.
And none of them were, let's be honest, none of them were the big cities other than Chicago. I mean, basically you had Oakland back to back, you had Houston back to back, and people say, well, that's because Jordan wasn't there, but still, back to back is still something to do. It's funny because arguably the best team of that era didn't win back to back, and that's San Antonio.
Right. That's their fault. That's their fault. So let me ask you a question, you guys. Now, we know. I know I brought up Magic before. We brought up Michael Jordan. He's 6-0 in the finals. If LeBron James, when LeBron played against San Antonio Spurs in 2007, you didn't expect Cleveland to win that, right?
No.
Okay. When he played Golden State, now he should have won in 2015, even though Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt. He was up 2-1. He had a chance to win. Then when they got Kevin Durant to 2 years, you expect LeBron to win those 2 years?
No, not at all.
Okay. Now, even when he lost to San Antonio, the last one in Miami, did you expect Miami to win that one?
Yes, because Miami had the powerhouse team then.
Okay. You expect them to win that one?
Yes.
Expect them to beat Dallas.
Well, I expect them to beat Dallas now. I'm saying out of LeBron, 10 trips to the finals. All right, at least out of 5 of those trips, he wasn't expected to win. He wasn't expected to win.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah,
okay? It's like Dr. J, when he went to all them finals, he wasn't expected to win. Magic wasn't expected to win on just about all of them. All right? And Michael Jordan. There was the favorites to win. There was the favorites to win. That's my point I'm trying to get you to see. sometimes you get in a situation.
Because of Magic played Jordan, what was the big injury?
When Magic played Jordan. Tell
What
me
was
what
the
was
big
the big
injury?
Magic's hamstring.
Byron Scott went out.
Oh, Byron.
You remember that?
Byron Scott now. Okay. I thought you were going to tell me somebody like James Worthy got hurt. That's what happened. He got hurt. I'll say more James Worthy. And Byron Scott was scared of Michael Jordan anyway. He was already,
After game one, he didn't play no more in the series.
Yeah, and then Magic tore his hamstring in game 2.
Was you sure that one or was it in Detroit?
That was the one day. The year after they went, repeated, and then they played Detroit the next year.
Yeah, okay, he pulled his hamstring, right, and he got swept. They got swept.
Game 2, he tore his hamstring and basically didn't play it was like Tony Campbell and
yeah,
I forget who else, but yeah, they but yeah, I mean,
I don't want to pick on Magic. Donald said it's not like I'm hating on Magic. I don't want to hate on Magic, man.
Put it this way, the logo was 2-8.
1-8.
His greatness, do we?
1-8.
1-8. Okay, even worse, 1-8. But we don't take away from his greatness, do we?
Well, Anthony, I had somebody on Facebook the other night when it was hating on LeBron. They said LeBron, what is? I think he said LeBron is 4-6 in the finals, and Jordan is 6-0. And I said, okay, what about the logo? Jerry West, he was 1-8 in the finals. Bring that up. Don't just pick on LeBron all the time. Everybody want to, pick on LeBron, and LeBron went to 10 finals, and Mike went to 6 finals. I mean, come on.
And what I would say to that guy, and I know it's might be cheating a little bit because it's another sport. Terry Bradshaw was 4-0 Super Bowls. Do we look at him as the greatest quarterback of all time?
You go.
There we go.
Right. Because like I said, man, sometimes people move the narrative on that. But like I said,
put it this way, Jordan fans. The problem I've always had with the Jordan and James thing is that both fan bases dehumanize the next guy.
That's right.
They basically try to say that the guy can't play. Say you don't like him. Please don't see this foolishness that they can't play.
Right.
That's the biggest problem I have with the James fans that go after Jordan and the Jordan fans that go after James. They try to dehumanize those guys. Will look, when LeBron's career is over, he's gonna have a statue in Springfield as well. So, so you can't. What bothers me is that they try to equate him with not being able to play, and that's just asinine. As far as I'm
concerned. But LeBron causes some of this stuff in himself. For example, when he made the big decision to go to Miami and had it all broadcasted, and when he came to the league as the chosen one, you know what I'm saying? I mean, some of this stuff LeBron caused.
Hold it. He didn't have nothing to do with the chosen one. They put that on him.
Exactly.
He had a big tattoo.
He had nothing to do with that. And listen, we're talking about a young kid that didn't know any better that made his decision to go to Miami. He didn't know about the news stuff and all. The boy was still he's just a young kid.
25 years old.
And to me, he did not make any mistake because he didn't break any laws. A lot of people want to say he did. In my book, he made.
But you don't want to broadcast. You don't want to broadcast it like that.
That was inexperience that did that to him.
And with the whole thing of his free agency, let's be honest. LeBron didn't go to ESPN to say, "Hey, let's make this a TV show." That was the networks. The same. Because see, here's the thing. The thing that the NBA refuses to tell you: when LeBron came into the league, he was anointed by the league. They had already, he'd already been anointed by the media as the chosen one, and they were asking this 18, and this is why I have a problem with them with the age restriction, because when LeBron was coming out of high school, they basically asked him to be the face of the league, and he did that 1,000%. And it set the pace for guys like Garnett and others. But then the league tried to play both sides and then say, well, these high school players are messing up the game. No, is Kobe messing up the game? Is Garnett messing up the game? Right. I mean, look, for every LeBron, there's a Felipe Lopez. For every Kobe Bryant, there's Al Harrington, and not to take anything from Al Harrington, because Al Harrington had a decent career for whatever. But for every great player, there were flops. But the league, played both sides to me because they wanted LeBron to be the face, and then when he wound up becoming the face, they wanted to add even more to it. And these guys, for whatever reason, weren't able to handle it the way LeBron did. And it's a double-edged sword. You're asking him to be the face of the league, but then you're asking him to, in a sense, shut up when he wants to have a political issue. So,
right. Let me say one thing before we go. I know it's 7:02, Larry, but it ain't so much LeBron. I think it's Michael Jordan fans that's more threatened by LeBron than LeBron threatened by Michael, because this GOAT thing didn't even start until LeBron James started really making a lot of noise, and then they started this GOAT conversation. Because when Magic and Bird was going at it, that wasn't no conversation. But as soon as LeBron started, when he beat Golden State, and he started, getting that little hype, and people started talking that he's better than Michael, that's when the Michael Jordan fans came out to defend Michael. So why did Michael come out, Larry, with The Last Dance? Why did he come out with The Last Dance 20 years after he retired? Because of what?
It's not because he wanted to be noticed. Michael Jordan is noticed because his sneakers come out every year and he make billions of dollars off of it. You ain't got to pump that up. That's automatically going to talk about Michael Jordan.
The reason why Michael came up with The Last Dance is because when LeBron started, when the talk started that LeBron James is possibly the greatest player of all times, Michael came out with The Last Dance during the COVID to try to show everybody, don't forget about me. Remember me, back what I did, and that's why Scotty Autumn got mad, because he made it about him. He wanted to show everybody that I'm
Jerry, and that is true. But again, this was the networks the 4-letter network playing both sides as well, because they're the same ones that came up with the LeBron's decision.
Right.
They were the same ones that came up with
The Last Dance.
With The Last Dance.
Right. And Michael went along with it. Michael signed off on it because Larry, he felt threatened by LeBron, and he wanted this new generation. Don't forget about me. I'm going to put up with The Last Dance. And that's why Scotty, Horace Grant, all of us mad, because The Last Dance was supposed to be about the Chicago Bulls, and Michael made it about him because he felt threatened by LeBron James' legacy, bro.
Big ego, Larry. That big ego.
The same thing Will Chamberlain did with Kareem. The same thing Jim Brown did with Franco Harris and all them, O.J. Simpson. The same thing Michael did because he felt threatened by LeBron James. It was his fans that did it, and Michael went along with it, Larry. All right?
Big ego, Larry.
But think about this.
Go ahead.
LeBron ain't do nothing like Jordan them setting up their camps. Everybody's coming in for information. Everybody's coming to their camps. Everybody's learning stuff like that. You don't hear LeBron James and everybody going to his camps, do you?
What do you mean, as far as training?
Yes, new guys coming to the league. He helping them out and stuff like that. You never hear about that. You hear about him used to go to Jordan's camps all the time. Kobe Bryant, every new guy coming to the league.
Okay, I mean,
I heard a lot about Kobe, but I don't remember hearing that much about Mike myself.
But did LeBron do the same thing?
Yeah, he actually had a lot of stuff overseas, to be quite honest.
I'm talking about new players coming.
Larry, don't compare Michael and LeBron when it comes to the powerhouse, because Michael had a lot of power that he didn't use. LeBron is the man right now, right? Even in the bubble, when they said they want to go in the bubble, when LeBron said we're going to the bubble, all the players said we're going to the bubble because of LeBron. LeBron James is probably the biggest athlete when it comes to power.
He got a lot of influence. I give him that. I would give him that.
Okay, Michael never used his.
I'm talking about giving back, like Kobe gave back.
Man, you way off base, man. Michael never gave back nothing. You talking about that little camp stuff? Look what LeBron James did for people in general.
I ain't talking about just regular people.
Larry,
you know what I mean?
Larry, there's one phrase, I'll throw it out, and this was said by the man. Republicans buy sneakers too.
and that's why Michael Jordan wouldn't speak up a lot. He would not speak up. He would not become the public speaker.
Right, but the same thing.
Republicans buy sneakers too. That's why.
And LeBron James spoke about everything, Larry. That's why Michael is in the community now, doing so much because of what LeBron is doing. He wants
to LeBron speak about certain things.
Certain
things he won't touch.
He didn't touch nothing back in the day. He just started doing things. You see him now going out helping people, buying people cars and building this and this. You just not heard about all that on Facebook. He wasn't doing that when he was playing. He didn't do none of that.
He went and helped Scottie Pippen. All right, come on.
Wouldn't even give him a job.
Scottie was underpaid.
One other thing that gets forgotten. Jordan lost a lot of clout with the players after when he retired the final time, and then became an owner. Because remember, he was one of the main owners that was fighting against the players when they had the lockout back in the day.
That's right.
You know, this was the very same guy that told Abe Poland, if you can't make any money, sell the team. Guess who Jordan went to go work for later on? Poland never forgot that. That's why things, played out the way they did in DC.
Right. And Larry, if Michael was so popular, even among the players, when he had the Charlotte Hornets, the Bobcats, whatever, why none of the players wanted to go to Charlotte and go play with Michael Jordan?
Because he wasn't paying no money.
Okay, I mean, Michael would have.
No, Jerry, he's right. Because see, that furthers my point. Because there was Michael, the player, and then there was Michael, the owner. Because again, why wouldn't you want to go play for Jordan?
A black owner.
Whether it be Charlotte, whether it be Memphis or whatever. The fact that he basically drafted every 6'7", 6'8" guard in the league and no one else came to the team, I think that speaks more. I think it speaks volumes. Now, a lot of it may have been with how the way things played out in Washington, but I think a lot of it was the bad blood that he did as an owner those years in Washington. I think, and I'm talking about the fans because he's always going to have fans, but I think from the modern players, they look at him as the guy in Washington as opposed to the guy in Chicago winning the championships. And I think that's where he lost a lot of clout with at least the modern day players now.
Listen, I know we got to go, man, but this is since we talk about ownership. Now, Steph Curry, team owner. Curry plans to own the team after retiring. All right? Now, I guarantee you, Larry, if Steph owned a team or LeBron James owned a team and being the only black owner in the association, they'll get players that want to come play with them. Right? I mean, I know you talk about they don't want to pay no money, but just the fact that they'll want to play with Steph or they'll want to play with LeBron faster than they want to play with Michael Jordan. Okay?
And I give you one reason why. Michael Jordan didn't really respect those guys either.
Okay.
Yeah. And put it this way. I hope that they're not going to be there just as figureheads. I hope that they're actually, because, let's be honest, those first few years in Charlotte, he was just there, he was just basically there because he was Michael Jordan. And then he started making moves. We found out as an owner, he's a great player.
But Anthony, did he backstab Bob Johnson to get that team though?
100.
Bob Johnson owned the team at first, right? And why he brought Michael Jordan? He brought Michael in to be a marketing type of guy to help bring fans in, right? Michael didn't want that.
And the sad thing, Jerry, the league were co-conspirators with him in that. The league signed off on that. And,
right.
And again, it's not to beat up, it's not to beat up on like I said, to me, the craziest thing to me was that if you look at those drafts and the players that he kept bringing in, other than like say a Kemba Walker, he kept bringing in the similar type players. You look at those rosters, their biggest free agency signing, I think, was Gerald Wallace.
Yeah.
But if you look at Michael Jordan, you look at his habits and what he expects from players, they couldn't live up to what he has in his head.
Absolutely. That's why he came out of retirement in D.C.
You know, so
But
so
he got rid of
he
Richard
wouldn't
Hamilton, who
make
was
it
better
a
than
great
him.
owner because, like for example, like somebody Magic couldn't do it because he got great expectations of what you should be doing. You know, somebody who wants to win that bad. If I got players that ain't putting out, am I gonna give them $100 million? No.
No, absolutely. And to be fair, historically, there's only been a handful of Hall of Fame players that were great coaches. I mean, Russell comes to mind, but people forget how great a coach Larry Bird was.
Yeah, that Bird's right.
I think if Larry Bird had hung out a little bit longer, he might have made the Hall of Fame a second time as a coach. Because those was, that was other than what's going on now with Indiana. He got Indiana to the finals, and they were a legit championship team a lot during his time. So in that instance,
this is the last one, man. Rick Carlisle says he will play Larry Bird as a big in today's era. What do you think about that? He said play him as a center, 6'9", basically as a big. That's what he's saying, right? And Rick Carlisle played with Bird with the Celtics back in the day when he won championships.
I can see a forward, but not as a center. I think
the Joker is center, right? Ain't the Joker a center? The Joker was
the Joker 7'1" though.
7'1".
Yeah. Larry's 6'8".
Okay, 6'8", 6'9". Okay, all right. Listen.
I don't agree with that one.
Go ahead, Dan.
Putting Bird at center in today's game, I do not agree with that one. Too many.
You don't agree with that?
Too many 7-footers out there now. Too many. No, he couldn't do it today.
All right. Well, listen, for you, the final one. Nas Reed, Larry, would you pay him that kind of money to go to the Lakers?
$120 million for 3 years. The kind of money they putting out right now, you talk about that's $40 million a year.
That's $40 million a year, right? 40, 80 years. That's just too much money for him, man.
But Nas Reed, yeah, that's too much money for him.
What do you think, Don?
Oh, definitely too much money for him. I'll be looking for a more higher paid superstar if I'm going to spend that kind of money.
If I can get Turner from Indiana, yeah, not him.
Yeah.
What do you think, Anthony? Too much money for him?
Oh, please. If that's the case, then I think the four of us could probably get a $70 million for 15 years.
Oh, man. All right, listen. It's 7:15. Let me close out in prayer, man. I'm not keep you guys all night. It was only four of us, and we had, man, we over the limit. I mean, really over that Magic Johnson, Larry. You started that Magic Johnson thing. All right? I hear about Magic. You guys, Magic. Now that I'm hating on Magic. I'm not hating on
earned everything he got.
Oh, please. James Worthy. He had more.
Why he ain't no Magic?
Bob McAdoo, they led the league in scoring like Kevin Durant 3 years in a row, coming off the bench behind Kareem. Come on.
McAdoo, 40 years old.
Larry, I was watching the game. Larry, on NBA TV, the old Laker game. All right. The Lakers was up by 10 points. Kareem only had 2 points in the game because he was in foul trouble. And the Lakers still up by 10 points with Bob McAdoo. No, I said to myself, this team is so stacked that even Magic can sit down for 10 minutes and the Lakers still can win because they got James Worthy, Bob McAdoo, Jamal Wilkes. I mean, they had a super team. Like I watched them, and I said,
Magic made the game fun again. Magic
can nobody beat that team? I said, can nobody beat that team? I really.
You sit Magic down too long, they were gonna get beat.
No.
I think Magic changed basketball though.
Okay. Let me go. Now let's say if Magic would have got a sprained ankle for Game 6 and he didn't play, could Kareem could have beat the 76ers by himself the way Magic did, Larry?
If somebody gave him the ball. If they ain't give him the ball, he would.
No, I ain't asked you that. Kareem
not like Magic. Magic brought it down. He shot it.
Kareem
rebound. He did everything.
Yes or no? Yes or no, Don?
No.
Oh man. You guys
really just get the ball, Darren. How is he gonna get the ball?
If Jamal Wilson had 2 points, he's got the ball.
It's the chicken and the egg theory with that. It's always going to be that. Like it's like I'll go back to what I said with Bradshaw. Would Bradshaw be as good a quarterback if he didn't have Swan and Stallworth?
Okay, I'll go along with that. He had a great team. Rocky Blyer, Franco Harris. He had a great offense and a great defense. All right, but he still had to pass them guys the ball too.
Them guys had to go get the ball.
Magic had to pass the ball to Kareem and Worthy and all these other guys.
I'm not disagreeing on that.
With Starburst, those guys had to go get the ball. He didn't exactly throw it to them. Those guys had to go get it.
He had great
They going out of
receivers.
bounds. They had to go get it.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, this be our homework then. This is gonna be our homework. You guys go and pull up Terry Bradshaw on YouTube and just watch his. Right? Like what Bruce Baggett and Barkley. Watch Terry Bradshaw and tell me that he wasn't a decent quarterback. You know, win 4 Super Bowls and be
He
a
wasn't decent. He wasn't great. He wasn't a Peyton Manning.
Larry in the Super Bowl. You don't become 4-0 and be a slouch either. Okay?
He had a dominant team. Dominant. He had great receivers, running backs, offensive line. You had all pros everywhere. Defensive line.
And he was the quarterback. He was the Magic Johnson of the team. Give him his due too then, all right? You give Magic his due. He was the quarterback of that team, like Magic was the quarterback. Give him his due. Magic didn't have Kareem. Like you said, like Anthony said, he has a Stallworth, he had Lynn Swan, which he did.
Right.
Magic had Kareem, had James Worthy too. Give the guys that do like you giving James Brown.
Right in their hand.
Yeah, so
the ball right in them guys' hands.
Okay, let's sign off, man. You got
had to go get the ball.
Another show. Let me sign off. Let me pray. Get us off the air, man. Cause you guys, now we got a whole different show. You guys don't want to give Terry Bradshaw his due. Give Magic his due. Magic
Bradshaw good quarterback. Bradshaw decent quarterback.
37 points, and then that don't even get mentioned. 37 points, that's 37 points. He get no mention at all. I'll be like Scottie Pippen. I'll be mad too. Nobody even mentioned my name. All right, but you gonna mention Lynn Swan and John Stallworth, but over Terry Bradshaw. See, that's a double standard. I don't like that. Okay? Let me.
He was a good quarterback. He wasn't great. He was good.
All right, lad, I'll get you when you come up. All right, Father God, we thank you for this Friday night edition of Sports Talk. We thank you as we have fun tonight. Continue to bless each and every one that's viewing this broadcast tonight, Lord, and bless those who couldn't make it tonight. But Father God, we look forward to Tuesday for another edition of Sports Talk. We just thank you, Lord, for blessing what you do to all of us, Lord, on this line tonight, Lord, on this talk show tonight. And we just give you all the glory. Continue, Lord, to bless us and continue to bless our audience as we grow this Sports Talk. And we give you all the honor in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. All right, you guys. Tuesday night, we're going to do it again. It's 7:20, man. You guys are crazy, man. All right. Magic. That destroyed the whole show, Magic Johnson. No, so all y'all got OKC tonight? Who got OKC?
I got OKC.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry, if Magic threw your pass on the layup, you would have made it.
You going with the Pacers?
I'm going to Pacers tonight.
I'm going to give you a call after they get blown out.
I'll call you tonight. Don't say nothing.
I'm going to give you a call now if they get blown out.
Oh, but OKC's supposed to win the series, right?
But you said Indiana going to win tonight.
I got Indiana tonight. I'm going to pick Indiana. They're at home. Because I think they found a way to beat the OKC. No, this is a whole nother show. It's a whole nother show. I think they found a way to beat OKC.
Are you getting off the bus?
I'm not. Okay, I'll get on the bus.
And Larry, wasn't the only bus when we started?
I like OKC. Larry, it's the best of 7. I think Indiana found what they needed to find to beat OKC. That's all I'm saying.
So are you still on the bus? No.
Well, you switch to that. I don't start talking that kind of stuff.
Are you still on the bus?
No, I'll go with Indiana tonight. All right?
You getting off the bus?
I'm getting off the bus because I think they found a way to beat them.
Okay.
You know, this is what I'm saying. I like OKC. I just think that Indiana found a way to beat them.
So you quitting on the team?
I'm not quitting on the team. Let's go. Tuesday. All right, you guys have a good night, man.
Okay.